And there's not really the thing that I see yet that is better than Bitcoin in terms of what we're talking about, like store value and currency effectively. So, I mean, I think the Lightning Network will work out. And if it doesn't, there will be some other thing that ends up working out. Andreas Antonopoulos always talking about like how the internet failed to scale, but it just kept failing to scale and then kept scaling up. So people figured out, hey, we can send text to each other's computers from our computer over this internet thing. But then everybody figures out that they can send text from their computer to somebody else's computer and the internet gets full. And then some brilliant engineer who's working on the protocol figures out a way to scale better. And so then people start going, hey, you know what? This actually works to send pictures to each other. But then everybody figures out that you can send pictures to each other and then the internet gets full and then it doesn't work. And then some brilliant engineer figures out a way to scale past pictures. Then people start going, hey, we can actually send videos on this thing. People send videos, network gets full, scales again. People start doing 4K videos, internet gets full, scales again. People start doing VR videos like 8K, 16K, whatever K will eventually happen. And
now we're getting 5G.
Yeah. And all that same stuff's going to happen with Bitcoin. Like I have essentially no doubt in my mind that Bitcoin will continue to scale. It's not going to look perfect and people aren't always going to be happy with it. But that's a function that's necessary. It's necessary to have a point in time where the network gets full so that people can go, hey, the current use case is being maxed out. We must increase capacity. And then eventually once it scales once, then people will use that until it's full. And then there will be a need to scale again. And then people will use that until it's full and scale again, full, scale, full, scale, full. And that's just what's going to happen until the end of time.
That's a good way to look at it. Have you heard of, I think his name is Jules Simon. He's an economist.
I'm not sure.
He had this theory about when he did
That's very Canadian of you.
He had this theory about resources. I think his book was called Infinite Resource 2.
Okay.
And in the book, he talks about when humans are confronted with scarcity, there's two things that usually happen. It provides an opportunity for a corporation to profit or for scientific innovation. So usually when we were presented with a scarce resource and where there's no way to just increase the limit on the thing and just get more of it or whatever, corporations profit or scientists innovate. So with the block size limit being capped at 1 megabyte and then implementing SegWit and like trying to have second layers, it's kind of like going back to earlier when we were talking about like the really superstar developers that are trying to work on mastery and purpose. They work on Bitcoin because there's scarce limits there. And they want to scientifically innovate on compression technology and protocol development and stuff because there's a limit that they're working up against. And they have to innovate. They have to create a whole new way of like compressing a transaction or like having another whole layer on top of Bitcoin that uses it more efficiently. So you get a lot of the smarter people in engineering and cryptography and compression and stuff working on Bitcoin because it's like they can achieve mastery and fulfill that scientific purpose. He didn't say all that about Bitcoin. He was talking about farming and all these different technologies and stuff, but I thought that was interesting to apply it to Bitcoin, and it kind of makes sense to what you were just saying. Hopefully we'll be able to have that happen that you just said, and we won't all die in 10 years when when the CO2 is too high.
Yeah, there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
So we wanted to talk about a couple more things here. Your book, B is for Bitcoin. What made you write that?
So I got into the space end of 2014, like we were talking about, and then I was thinking, oh my God, like this is the most amazing technology of all time. I need to figure out how I can kind of contribute, whether it's using the technology to build the company or figuring out how to contribute in some way. And I wasn't a developer, still not a developer, so I'm not like joining the Bitcoin repo on GitHub and committing code there or anything. And I wasn't really like ready to start a company really in the space. And I said, okay, well, I could probably write a book. And just in my notes folder on my iPhone, I started writing, okay, like A is, I actually had A first as Augur and B is for Bitcoin. And then I just started going down the list through all 26 letters and eventually had something and just kind of left it there. I didn't really do anything with it. And then a couple years later, I was actually at Polymath in the office. And a guy I worked with, Tom, was like, dude, like, are you actually ever going to make this? Or like, are you just going to fuck around and never do it? And then I was like, yeah, but I have to figure out somebody who's going to illustrate it, and I have to do all this different stuff and figure out how to publish a book. And he was like, dude, go on Upwork right now. You'll find an illustrator in like the next 20 minutes. And so I posted the job opportunity on Upwork. And then a dude from Ukraine reached out and said, hey, I've done work on a cryptocurrency themed thing before. And it was exactly what I wanted.
Nice.
Like it was 100% exactly what I wanted. And I said, yes, okay, cool, done. And so him and I worked together for the next few months putting out the book. And it was really cool that I could kind of contribute to the space that I'd gotten so much from.
Mm-hmm.
Even just being on crypto Twitter, going to events over the last number of years, it was cool to kind of finally like stake my flag in the ground and say, this is something that I did kind of to give back to Bitcoin.
I bought it for my nephew.
Yeah, it was dope. Thank you.
Got to get the propaganda in there early.
Of course. The idea is, would you rather teach your kid A is for Apple, B is for ball, or A is for altcoin, B is for Bitcoin?
Yeah.
It's like, what do you want to teach your kid when they're learning their ABCs? And for me, I know that I would want to teach my kid B is for Bitcoin. And that seems to be who's buying the book now, is people who want to teach their kid B is for Bitcoin.
You think there's much opportunity there in that space, like for making books for Bitcoiners? Or is it like more of just like you said, it was something that you wanted to do to fulfill a creative need? And
But number two, I see the really big opportunity with the books that Andreas has done and with Saifedean and those kinds of books where they're actually explaining more of like the technology and the economics behind it. In terms of the children's book, it's not as big of a market, but I mean, I was the number one book on Amazon when it came out. In terms of children's
finance
and
books?
and like the very specific niche that I put it in, it was something
Number one
like,
book on Amazon, asterisk.
yeah, it was like children's, I think software. I think children's
software
and
books.
then the one level below was software. I think it was like number one for about a week.
You got number one on Amazon, asterisk.
It was good. At one point, it was outselling Elmo for like a couple days. Like there was an Elmo book that came out and I was outselling Elmo. I felt pretty good about that. But no, I mean, the market's not gigantic, but it was, again, you said, it was just something where I had this creative idea and I wanted to see it through to the end just so that other people could experience that kind of fun and delight of B is for Bitcoin.
Well, it's a good book and I recommend people get it. It's interesting.
Appreciate it.
I read it to my nephew and then I gave it to my sister for her daycare.
Nice. It's at my niece's daycare right now. There's a copy.
Buy it for the kids. So that's B is for Bitcoin. Are you going to write any more books?
I'm thinking about a coloring book.
Oh, that's like an adult coloring book?
Yeah, about Bitcoin, yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so I'm thinking about it. I've
Just make it all Satoshi, like Craig Wright, like artistic renderings.
yeah, of copyrighted forged emails and stuff. Yeah.
Just Craig Wright forging a document and you color it in.
Yeah, I don't know. That's what I've been thinking of right now. That's, I think, what the next one is going to be. Maybe a coloring book.
Your Twitter's pretty funny. You post a lot of jokes and stuff. You gonna do anything comedy-wise?
I'm more of like a video comedy guy. So,
like memes?
Yeah. So I used to make Vines all the time.
Oh,
So I was like quasi-Vine famous back in the day.
Too bad they didn't transfer all your followers and stuff over to Twitter.
I know, it was terrible. It's one of my biggest regrets.
What were you doing on Vine? Like just 5-second?
5-second comedy videos.
Comedy bits,
Yeah,
okay.
just being stupid.
What was your number one looped?
I think the number one was me dancing with my mom.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I'll send you it after. It's pretty good. And one of my biggest regrets is not properly getting my Vine followers to move over to Twitter and other platforms because I fucked that one up. Because like just one day I got a message from Twitter, or maybe I saw the news and it was like, yeah, Twitter's shutting down Vine. And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like it was devastating.
All that content you created is just gone.
So I was able to download the content, which is good.
But without the Vine ecosystem, it doesn't really have as much of an impact.
It's different. But now TikTok is what's up.
I've been hearing TikTok. Isn't that a singing one?
That's like kind of how it started. That's what a lot of people are doing. But now it's really similar to Vine.
It's Vining.
Yeah, it's Vine, but longer videos, kind of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you doing TikTok?
Yeah, I'm doing a little bit of TikTok every now and again.
You'll have to post your TikTok name. We'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah, I'll fire up the TikTok so people can watch.
I haven't tried TikTok yet. I did a little bit of Vining, but I wasn't good at it.
It's surprisingly hard, and I think that's why Instagram is such a big ecosystem compared to what Vine was. And Twitter as well, is because it's really easy to just throw up a photo of like, hey, here I am at my friend's party, or hey, the sunset looked good.
Yeah.
It's really hard to make quality content in video form.
Yeah, it's a lot more planning.
And to write out a succinct tweet as well, saying, here are my thoughts.
Yes.
And so I think that's why Instagram was such a bigger ecosystem than Twitter and Vine.
My best Vine was I was at a sushi place and I sneezed out the seaweed.
Oh,
So I went, and then I paused it, and then I, with a whole bunch of seaweed salad hanging, and went, choo, and recorded.
nice.
It was hilarious.
That's good. I
It
like
looked
it.
great. And I didn't have enough time to eat the seaweed afterwards. Otherwise, I would have. But
Yeah.
it was a short video.
Obviously.
Yeah, that was looped like 100 times.
Oh, dope.
Yeah.
I think I had, it was something like 200 million loops or something.
Damn.
Yeah, it was good.
That's a lot of loops.
Yeah.
Some comedians like Chris D'Elia and stuff got started on Vine pretty much.
Yeah. And there's a lot of Viners now that
They're YouTube.
went into YouTube mostly, and then some are on TikTok now. And so it's just like the Bitcoin OGs, like the Vine OGs are now like the content kings of the internet, kings and queens, because they were molded in the fire by 6 second content.
Yeah, quick hits.
Yeah.